On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle, hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Got a lot going on right now, but actually no new posts, which is kind of cool. One, gives me a chance to kind of go over the last couple posts because there's been a little more information that I've been able to get my hands on that kind of helped with that. Two, gives me a second to actually reach out and say thank you. There was a really wonderful viewer that actually shared a cool bit of scripture from Matthew chapter 10 that was very appropriate towards my family situation that I shared in the last video. That was super sweet. So it's given me a chance to connect with people on a very cool level. It's also giving us all a chance to kind of catch our breaths. This has been a lot that's been going on. One, things didn't happen in DC like they were afraid they were going to happen, I guess, or like I feared they were going to happen. Fortunately, they didn't. A lot of people are speculating that that might be evidence to show that maybe there's been some behind the scenes work to maybe shut down some of the organized aspects to it, maybe at least break down some of their abilities to communicate and force them to have to come up with new ones. But there's been a lot of suspicious talk that they've probably been arrested. So that's a good thing. It's given us a chance to do that. I got to watch McEnany, that wonderful press person for President Trump, and she did one of her pressers today. And of course, it's always interesting to see how the questions get posed and the way they're kind of trying to force the conversation. And there was a couple big points that came out on that. And again, this I think kind of talks about the general movement of the narrative. I feel, and at least that's one of the reasons or things I use it for, is to try to see how are they trying to move the narrative. So they kept using the word chemical attack with the smoke attack. Now, at first they said tear gas and chemical, and right, they were mixing all this stuff together, and McEnany said, no, first off, there's definitely no tear gas. That was for sure not true, and then kind of explained what all went on with that. And then the guy follows up with the chemical attack. And they kept calling it a chemical attack. And the thing that's funny is technically, yes, it is a chemical attack. It takes chemicals to make smoke. So they're on a technicality using a loaded word to help spur more of the anger and division. Now, everyone always says Trump is who's divisive, but it was that John guy, whoever the hell he is the one that no one likes, right? Acosta. It was him, I believe, that was asking this question, or one of his lookalikes. But that being said, is that standard trying to ruffle the feathers, trying to keep people fired up, trying to create divisiveness, trying to create something where it wasn't quite like it played out. Now, they also got into the way the police handled it, and I think they call it Lafayette Park, but that area out in front where in the morning, let's paint the story real quick. The church was burning the night before, right? And I guess the church is pretty close to the White House, as has been demonstrated when Trump just walked across there and held up a Bible and everyone's freaking out, even though every other president's done that. But whatever. Okay, let's just leave that alone for the moment. But apparently, because of that, the next morning, William Barr basically walks into work and says, why is the perimeter not expanded? We need to expand it out 1 block further in all directions and basically make sure that this church is, one, not in harm's way, but two, I think he was looking out for the White House. There was a lot of reports that were suggesting less than peaceful approaches to this protest were planned. And from what I understand, there was some stuff found around in the bushes and the sides and whatever, but we'll leave that alone. But there was some discussion about how that played out. And McEnany, again, handled it so brilliantly in that she basically said, look, the police made 3 very loud announcements, and a number of the protesters actually did step back as were instructed, and some non-helpful people started throwing frozen water bottles. I think she's just saying they were solid. Some are saying they might be mixing cement in them, but whatever. Frozen, not frozen, whatever. It just seems like a lot of effort to freeze them all. But they started throwing stuff at the police officers and then got upset with them for essentially responding with some violence and smoke and a little bit more, and I don't think it was violence as much as pushing back and a little more forceful approach. So again, I feel like the way she's handling these questions is really cool, and she's got a tough job, and they're constantly trying to trip her up, and that young lady is brilliant. So again, it was really fun to watch that. So that was one thing that's kind of interesting to see where they're trying to take this conversation, because these things aren't working. The June 6th attempt to essentially have a D-Day invasion on the White House failed. We repelled the invasion. The invasion was repelled. So again, another big step forward. Now they're licking their wounds or whatever, trying to figure out what the next step is. Now I'd heard a couple weeks from now, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, that maybe something's planned and that date might coincide with some other stuff. Who knows? We're going to see. We're going to take this day by day. But certainly anything that we find out via Q and things along those lines, obviously they know way more way before. So yeah, we'll see what we can figure out along the lines. Something that's also very cool, and I'm going to share a video at the end of this that shows what we're talking about, but Bill Hemmer on Fox was just talking about this a moment ago, and I guess, and this is true, and I'm going to show you video to prove it, but driving up in New York, 5th Avenue, 6th Avenue, and 7th Avenue, apparently for 2 miles, 2 miles on all 3 of those streets. That's where Tiffany, Saks Fifth Avenue, Puma, like just every, Tag Heuer, like Rolex, like all these crazy expensive stores are littered along those. Every single storefront window, he said 90%. When the dude was driving, it's a lot of them. It is probably over 90%. 90% is probably conservative. But every single storefront at ground level has had its windows broken out. Every single storefront. They broke and looted every store over there. That's what the governor and mayor allowed to happen. Allowed to happen. You could have your own business and they seem to not care. So it's a little concerning. Now, some of the good news things. Oh, first off, yeah, we wanted to cover this. This is one thing I didn't understand and I've had it explained. I've read some stuff. I've found out a little bit. But anyway, the thing that people were tripping on was the fact that this picture was posted by Obama on the 17th, and this was causing a lot of issues. The issue wasn't the fact that this picture was posted prior, and this is what everybody's saying, is basically initially when this post was made on the 17th, they had a different photo. There was a different photograph that was actually ascribed to the post or on the post. And at some point after this gentleman had passed away or been killed, murdered, frankly, let's be called a spade, but after that happened, then the picture was changed, but it doesn't alter the posting. It doesn't alter the way that the posting occurs. So it's what leads into this post, the one that followed right after, which is where Q talks about how you can use this validator program or aspect of Twitter to help validate how a picture is going to look on your site before you post it and all this stuff. So he goes into how it works, and if you actually click on the validator, it just takes you to a login screen. But it's Twitter, it's a redirect, but at the end it says validator right here. So I mean, it's tied into their whole little validator thing, whatever the heck. So that's what he ends up doing, is he's basically like, hey, here's how you can use this validator. Here's how you can try to verify. And again, he says not all things are for anons. And I don't know the difference between anons and people that are like, hackers and all that other stuff out there, right? You got people that know code. I mean, I work with these people. One of my very good friends is a major code writer. But that being said, I mean, a lot of people know how to do this. So it's very cool, and I know it's JavaScript, so whatever. I don't know. We'll see. But again, I misunderstood how it meant, because at first I saw it, and I'm like, wait, how did this picture post before the guy died? Yeah, that's not quite how it played out. And I've seen some other news articles that are sort of teasing that that's what was understood as well. So I kind of wanted to throw a quick clarification on that. Now, I got some cool news, actually. Found a couple interesting stories that contradict some of the common things out there that actually show a positive outcome. Now, this one might catch you just from the sheer title of it. You're like, wait, how good news? Dan, you and I don't define good news maybe the same way. I'm sure you might question that at this moment. But 3 Chinese nationals received prison sentences. That's kind of cool. The fact that they just walked in willy-nilly, oh, you know what I mean? When I hopped that fence and I had my camera and I was just like, everywhere I was going, that's not okay. Said with a different accent probably than the one I've got. But what really caught my attention in the article was this last sentence. The U.S. will need to consider substantially restricting Chinese migration until the Chinese government comes clean about its overall intentions. Letting them continue to use migrants as political weapons is unacceptable and undermines U.S. interests. I was like, what? And I went up one more paragraph. The country understands the political implications of mass migration and has used agents to infiltrate countries such as the Philippines. This is China. China understands how it works to infiltrate an area, and then now you have influence. Insurgency, as so many have been talking about. One more example. Additionally, there is a strong Chinese presence in the U.S. by virtue of its large student population, which in any given year numbers 500,000 people. And these people, I don't know, are still members of the Communist Party, and I think there are some deals made before they come here. And so I think there's some rules that have to follow, and they're basically still parts of the state. The state still owns anybody that's over here, even if they're Chinese people working in the massage parlor that you like to go to. You know what I mean? So again, something to keep in mind. But hey, some good's coming from it. We're actually looking at maybe not taking as many students. And hey, I love Chinese people. I truly do. I truly, truly do. Actually, I've got some very good friends that are Chinese. I love them. I adore them. But right now, maybe the ones that are coming straight from China as students maybe are something that we should say, hey, you can have that privilege when you prove you're worthy of the responsibility that comes with that. But we're not just giving that to you willy-nilly. There's plenty of other people in the world that will come here and pay money to go to our schools. Now, granted, our schools are whores, and they want as much money as they can. So, hey, that being said, interesting little story here. Busted. Yeah, actor caught posing as a cop in a George Floyd riot psyop thing that was going on. Essentially, what it came down to, I mean, let me give you the skinny. There's a video or a picture or whatever of this cop that like threw down their riot gear, and they're like, that's it, I quit the cops, and I'm done, and I'm joining the protesters. And this thing's gone viral, right? Everybody in the world is like, see, cops are even joining it. Look at this guy, look at him. Well, as it turns out, a few people started to scrutinize what was going on. And let's see, as of this writing, it has yet to provide any evidence back to claim that he or she, because I don't know if this person's a he or she, used to work in law enforcement. This user did, however, post an additional picture that even further points to the claims made being fraudulent. In this more detailed photo, a sheriff's vest and various weapons are seen, including a supposed department-issue Smith & Wesson M&P5. I don't know if it's an MP5 or whatever, but this particular firearm is considered to be an affordable type that retails for around $600. What that means, and they go into explaining that here in a second, is basically it's a civilian model that has been modified to fully auto. And that's illegal, first off. Second off, cops don't do that. They just buy the weapon fully autoed. They wouldn't convert a semi-auto to a fully auto. Cops are allowed to buy crazy assault weapons. That's right. So again, a lot of things that go in with that aren't cool. Secondly, if you quit the cops and take home your rifle, your MP5 or MP15, you've got to answer to the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms and Explosives and all that, right? Like, you're not allowed to just take those home. That's not your gun. So, no. So anyway, yeah, this individual's basically been called out. So again, being on the lookout, this is one of those things that's happening all over the place right now. People are lying. They're making stuff up. They're making up false stories. Again, kind of like what was happening with McEnany today. I love that chick. They try to box you into a corner. They're like, so when the president got done killing everybody and then shooting them in the face and then walked out and said to the people that he was unhappy, do you think he was really unhappy about the fact that he just killed all those people? And they're like, whoa. First off, time out. Nobody was killed. Not even close. So that part of the question's incorrect. Secondly, yeah, when he walked out there, this is what he meant. Again, it's just the way they phrase it. I get that I was being extremely hyperbolic, just for the point of, trying to prove my point. But it happens so frequently, it's kind of a trip. So anyway, stuff to consider. U.S. Customs seizes counterfeit money originating from China. Interesting. Lots of money, $351,000 they're saying, but still it's a bunch of $100 bills that they found. Let's see, it was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I think it was supposedly coming in from a customs. Fake bills came in, I want to say it was in South America, but anyway. That being said, that's good stuff, right? So, but again, paying attention to just really the headline. Bunch of counterfeit money coming from China. If anyone's got the technology, if anyone's possibly stolen the plates, there's certainly questions that plates in the past were stolen, but I think that's why we've got the newer bills, and that actually looks like the old 100, right? I don't even see the crazy blue stripe on it, so it doesn't even look like it's the newer one. So again, something's not right. That was maybe it was really easy for them to tell, like, yeah, these aren't even legit, man. They're made with funny money. Another thing that was said is that former President Bush Jr. Just said he's not going to vote for Trump, doesn't support Trump, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's apparently from a Bush spokesman says, it's New York Times story. New York Times. Fake story. Very strange. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that coming from New York Times. I mean, they're such a prestigious newspaper. How could they ever? Oh, wait, they do it all the time. I'm sorry. I must be thinking of some other source of words. But yeah, Bush spokesman says New York Times claim he won't be voting for Trump is completely made up. To quote him, completely made up. Yeah, former George W. Bush. Spokesperson strongly denied the report from the New York Times. So there you go. Interesting. Fake news. Wonder why Trump keeps saying fake news. And that's not what's divisive, by the way, folks. That's just him calling out bad news. I mean, if it's incorrect a lot, don't you feel like there's something to be said about that? I don't know. I'm just saying. 3 members of the anti-government Antifa group arrested for looting. Where's DA? DA. Why is that drawn? I can't. Anyway. It's not Delaware. I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, 3 members, communist-rooted Antifa, were arrested. They were down in Texas, apparently. And apparently this group, these 3 people, used to be part of the Austin Red Guards. Now, that just caught my attention just because, one, Austin is this neat little oasis in Texas. For those of you that are from Texas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've got the company I work for, we've got a really strong IT presence in San Antonio, but we also had a smaller footprint up in the Austin area. So I've spent a bunch of time in both of those locations. And I'll tell you, Austin's a different town. It's a beautiful town. It's a great town. I got some amazing food, and I absolutely love the people, and I generally get along with everyone. But there's a heavy slant to the left. So not a big surprise that they would have some sort of organized Antifa in that area. It's very fitting for the city. Just saying. Illinois man charged with attempting to incite rioting. Yeah, this is kind of fun. Antifa hijacking peaceful protests to start riots and cause violence. Yeah, this guy got busted. Apparently, according to the Department of Justice, DOJ, man from Illinois had been charged with federal offenses for attempting to incite rioting over the internet. The man, I'm not going to say his name properly, but Gibson, I can say that. He's 26 from Peoria and is currently in custody of the United States Marshal Service. The alleged action by this defendant are an orchestrated effort to incite riots, incite looting, and cause general mayhem. Thanks to the coordinated efforts of this Peoria Police Department, the PPD, FBI quickly identified the safely apprehended yada yada. So, again, a lot of stories about individuals that might have a little more. One thing that I see when I read these articles, I don't think they just drop these small headlines. I doubt this dude was necessarily a small player. I think the headlines get buried sometimes intentionally or are written like, main man that was part of Antifa is arrested. Like, if they would have put that in the headline, for sure, a lot more people would see it. This is kind of how they sometimes bury headlines, I think. Like, they give information because they have to. They almost have to tell us the truth, but they don't sell it sometimes. Anyway, I wanted to give a quick little spin on this guy just to kind of show, but this is the guy that was kind of cruising around New York. And I think it's very interesting how when you notice, and some of these store names and stuff are outstanding. So I think we come up with Tiffany's here not too long, but again, you're going to start seeing nothing but boarded up. There you go. Tiffany's, I think that was boarded, continues to be boarded. All the way through, continues. This is on the streets. Apparently 5th, 6th, and 7th Avenue. Was that Britling? There's some high dollar stuff there, right? So, yeah, boards just everywhere. Dior, like Chanel. What else we got here? I can't read them all. They're going too fast frankly, it's not good. David Terman, I think that was. I'm not a big guy in all these fancy Tiffany and Company. Look at all this. All of these boarded up areas. I mean, this is New York. This is what they allow. Louis Vuitton, like, right? Where's my Louis Vuitton? Oh, no. It is funny is there's some place, I don't remember where, and it's not really funny, but they went driving by, it might have been here, they went driving by Gucci, and Gucci Didn't have any boards. I don't think I'm gonna get far enough into this video to where he finally gets to Gucci, but it's not boarded up. And he's like, well, that just tells you there's obviously nothing in Gucci. And then he's like, oh, it's in the Trump building. And it was. And nothing happened to it. Isn't that kind of funny? What was considered in the Trump building, probably because of Secret Service, was not allowed to be harmed. Here it is. Here's Gucci. Nice. So look at this. Gucci. And then the guy's basically saying, yeah, it's obviously there's no good stuff here. Like, yeah, everywhere else around here is righted. And he's like, oh, this is the Trump building. So it was protected. Isn't that interesting? Another thing that's not mentioned on the news, right? Look at this. Armani, Fifth Avenue, Dolce & Gabbana. It's going too fast. Don't know these brands well enough to be able to just... I saw Tag Heuer because I have one of those. Like, that's a beautiful watch. But again, it's amazing what has happened on our streets in Manhattan, in New York. Look at this. This isn't... There's Tag. This is insane. Microsoft Store. And really, what are you going to get? A Surface Pro at best? Come on. Crap computer. Get out of here. Whatever. Anyway, I'm just saying. Not cool. Not cool at all. And so this is what they're trying to protect. Again, I am all about protesting. To be able to peaceably protest is a law we all have. The Constitution states it. I almost want to look it up really fast just to show us that. It helps if you actually pop in here. Constitution. Hope I spelled that right. Almost there. And then we're going to scroll down really fast to the First Amendment once it finally opens in my Brave browser, which that's just a free plug. Frankly, I do use it. I'm sure at some point they're going to approach me to do advertising, and I'll probably do it. But yeah, I actually use it. It's really slow right now. Got to love that. Hello. Anytime you want to fire up your big eyes, let's try that one more time. Maybe just force the reload. There you go. Okay, let's get down here to... Here it comes. Bam. Article 1. Amendment 1. Freedom of expression and religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Peaceably to assemble. That's what our right is. Not to cause damage, not to be violent. So that crap that Cuomo said is incorrect. Chris Cuomo, the brother, the CNN dude, he said, I don't know where it says that you have to be peaceful. I don't know, the Constitution, that's where it says it. I mean, might say it in other places too. There could be some Hallmark cards and stuff that say something similar. But for sure, right here in the Constitution, good place to check out. Just saying. Anyway. So we'll see if more posts come. Today is a dry spell. I like it, frankly, because it means that stuff's probably happening. Usually when Q gets quiet, it gets exciting, and stuff starts to make people nervous first off, and so that's always good times. So hopefully you enjoy what's going on. If you've enjoyed this video for sure, please subscribe. Please hit the bell notification so you'll be notified of my future videos. And of course, I'd love it if you'd hit the like. That's always really groovy. And share it. That's probably the most helpful thing you can literally do with my videos, is to share them with random strangers. Put them in an envelope and do one of those letters. What were those letters that you mail them out, and if they had to respond, I forget the name of them. Chain letters. Oh my God, those are horrible. God, they were horrible. Anyway, that's what happens. It's on the Fringe. Stay in radio style.